Moving to the country, gonna pick out all the peaches. County's full of beaches, the people wanna be free. I'm moving to the country, gonna pick out all the peaches. Gonna vote on paper ballots, paper from a tree. I took a trip to Cherokee, they had a hand count I could see, and I knew it was for me. I cast my ballot fair and free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Paper ballots is the key.
Paper ballots is the key. Isn't that right, dude?
Yeah, and thank you, dude.
Yeah, so that's a version of the open, and we are really happy about finding a song out there by a band called the Presidents of the United States. They had a song that was a hit song called Peaches. And it's a catchy number, and I was listening to that, and I was like, Georgia's the peach state, and we want things to be peachy, and you're considered a peach if you're good, and so, it really applies to the election integrity situation that we're dealing with here, so it was a very fitting song. We'll add to it. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just that even the band's name is fitting.
Yeah, the Presidents of the United States. So anyway, included some footage in there from Cherokee County. That was a hand count simulation that Tania produced and I filmed and edited together. And I am Viking Dude, a.k.a. Ty GT on many platforms out there. And this is my cohort here, election integrity cohort.
I'm Tania.
This is Tania. Everybody knows her as Tania. She's got Shadow TS up there as her name. So we are rambling away here. We're going to try to keep time, and so I'm keeping an eye on the clock here. We're in the introductory segment, and we're going to quickly give you a preview of what we're going to be talking about. Briefly, I want to explain that this show is being designed to cover some of the topics that are held every week in a Zoom call conducted by VoterGA. It's a organization of volunteers, a very active group of folks who go and do hard work down at the Capitol, getting the word out, working phone banks at election time. They work the phones for people who have things to report about election issues that happen at their precincts. So it's a very active group of folks. They have a call every week that is not available to the public. But a lot of that information needs to be available to the public, and so it was Tania's idea that we should maybe cover some of those topics on a weekly basis, and that's what we're doing here. And for this show, we're going to be talking about the Fani Willis appeal dismissal, removing her off the case against the indicted 19. That case, believe it or not, was still open. We're also going to be covering the election study committee, the Georgia Election Study Committee. This is a committee comprised of state legislators from the state house. They're going around and speaking to people throughout the state, election officials within the counties and the precincts to try to learn what we need to do to reform our elections in Georgia. If they could just listen to VoterGA and Garland Favorito and Tania Sosa, but they want to hear it from everybody across the state. And then we're also going to do a little coverage of the Charlie Kirk Vigil, the Charlie Kirk Memorial, I should say, and the vigils. And then lastly, we're going to have a discussion about is free speech in danger. So those are the topics that are underway, and we're going to dive right into our first segment here. Tania, take it away.
Well, yeah, and I want to introduce myself real quick because if you don't follow VoterGA, you don't know who I am. I work for Garland, who is the co-founder of VoterGA, and I'm bringing you Peaches and Bananas. And we're calling it that because, like Viking Dude explained, A lot of what most of our focus is on Georgia, the Peach State, but a lot of what we get to discuss kind of makes the Peach State sound a little bit like a banana republic. So here's peaches and bananas.
Are we ready for the first
And
video? I'm sorry.
and
Oh, you're
we're
going to the slides?
yeah,
This is the slides. Okay, here we go.
this is the slides. So like we said, we're going to give the highlights on the call, and then after the highlights, talk a little bit about free speech. First up was Fani's political witch hunt, and that is a case that total political persecution. This was a witch hunt where she indicted President Trump and 18 others, and accusing them of election interference, even though it seems more like the case itself is election interference. And last week we had the great news in the ruling from the Supreme Court of Georgia that Fani Willis is officially off the case. This was her last appeal, and the Supreme Court decided that her petition to stay on the case was denied. So that we want to make clear that that doesn't mean that the case is over for the indicted. It is great news because this was largely driven by her, but the case is not over. The next step is that now there's a council called the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia that is going to decide whether to appoint a different prosecutor or what's going to happen to the case. One of the things that looks good for the indicted is that it's unlikely that another prosecutor might want to take it because it is a very expensive case, and that's just the reality of it. And also on the merits itself, it doesn't seem like that the case really has much ground to stand on. And we are also there was a law passed in Georgia that oh, where did that slide? What happened to my slide? My slides are messed up. Okay. I'm sorry, Viking dude.
Did StreamYard not upload them all?
Yeah, it looks like something's missing, so I'm gonna pause the. I'm sorry for the glitch, but I'm back, and now my slides are right. So this case has been devastating for the indicted because while not so much for President Trump, who went on to be president, but for everyone else, as long as this case is open, it means that there's a felony on their record. And for the lesser known names, that means that they've had a really hard time or an impossible time in landing jobs. So do they get their lives back? Not yet, while the case is still open. But like I said, it's so far so good. And there is a law in Georgia that should Bonnie Willis be found of misconduct in prosecutorial abuse, the indicted get the opportunity to file a claim to possibly get their legal expenses back. And just a reminder of Fani's unethical behavior here is Judge McBurney reading her the riot act. Play it, Viking dude. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. You have to pull your slides off the stage before I can add mine to the stage.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
Did you want me to do that in the future? Okay, ready? Here we go. We're going to roll this.
Using the title of your office and having on social media that you, as this political office holder, are holding a fundraiser for the opponent of someone that this political office is investigating. I don't know that it's an actual conflict, but I use that phrase, what were you thinking? Where the prosecutor thought I could prosecute the co-defendant of someone I defended. It's a what are you thinking moment. The optics are horrific. If you are trying to have the public believe that this is a nonpartisan, driven by the facts, and I'm not here to critique decisions, the decision was made, but if we are trying to maintain confidence that this investigation is pursuing facts in a nonpartisan sense, no matter who the district attorney is, we follow the evidence where it goes and ignore the fact that I hosted a fundraiser for the political opponent of someone I've just named a target. That strikes me as problematic, maybe not from an actual conflict level, but if we are at a cocktail party and people are asking, do you think that this is a fair and balanced approach to things? I do. Well, how do you explain this? How does one explain? I mean, that's the concern I'm working through, is that it's not a lowercase a appearance. It's like a capital A with flashy lights, fundraiser, district attorney for the political opponent of someone I've named the target of my investigation, where I'm the legal advisor to the grand jury, and I'm on national media almost nightly talking about this investigation.
So that is Judge McBurney talking to Fani Willis about one of the people that she was investigating as a potential target of this same case. So she does have a history there of this appearance of targeting political opponents, and that would be misconduct, and it goes towards the issue at hand with the indicted that remain. And that's a segment on Fani's political witch hunt update.
Great. That was fascinating. And man, this has been going on for so long. It's time for this thing to wrap up and stop. I mean, so here we'll bring you back in the split screen. I mean, it's not about Trump still having this. I mean, it's always been about these people down at the county level who have this hanging over their head. Like Kathy Latham is one that comes to mind. You know, poor woman. I mean, she has just been frozen in time with this indictment, this felony indictment hanging over her head, totally innocent of anything. You know, a sweet little elections office director in a county. You know, wonderful little lady. Doesn't have any kind of criminal record or anything, and suddenly her life has been frozen for however, I don't know, like 4 years this has been going on now? How long?
Yeah, the investigation did start 2 years ago for them, when President Trump had to, it was kind of, and that's the other thing, that it was timed with President Trump's campaign for president for 2024, that at the onset of that, he had to come to Atlanta and go to jail, and there's the picture of him what's that called? Being booked.
Being booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a mugshot. They went out and they booked him in the pokey.
Yeah, booked him and all the others.
Yeah, I've got one of those. I've got one. I still have the little badge too. I kept it as a keepsake. So yeah, but I deserved it. I messed up one time. Anyhow, I think it's probably time for us to move. We're running a little bit long into the next segment here on the study committee that Georgia has going on. The Georgia state legislators have this, they call it the Blue Ribbon Study Committee. Well, I don't know about Blue Ribbon, but there's a lot of jokes flying around out there about that. A lot of, like, the Pabst Blue Ribbon Study Committee is one that you hear. I don't know. I guess these legislators, it seems, from what I've watched, it seems like they are trying to fact find, and they are trying to get to the bottom of what the people really want out there. but I don't know. At the end of the day, the backroom deals are going to be more prevalent than the open front room deal with the public that they're trying to put on here with this Blue Ribbon Study Committee. So take it away on this one.
Okay, let's talk about the Study Committee on Elections. What is that? It's a committee of State House members. They are holding a series of meetings around the state on everything that has to do with the elections. So they're listening to invited guests and members of the public ahead of going back to work in January. So think of it kind of like they're doing their homework. The last meeting that they had was on September 18th in Savannah, where they talked about the voting system for two reasons. One is that the contract with the voting system company expires in 3 years. And two, using the QR code becomes illegal next summer. So after July, they can't use the QR code to count our votes. So they heard from Gabriel, and Gabriel is Georgia Association of Voter Registration and Elections Officials. And those are the people that do the work running the elections in all the counties. And Gabriel is saying, we've got an emergency here. So without any funding or alternatives from the legislature, they don't have an option but to use emergency procedures. And that is not ideal because emergency procedures were not designed to be used as a primary way of running an election. So for the emergency procedures, they would have to have pre-printed paper ballots. And the way that our elections are run, the risk of giving out the wrong ballots are really high, and they would need extra chain of custody and security methods to secure all those ballots. So to give you an example, for the 2022 primary in Cherokee County, they had 231 types of ballots. So for early voting, because anybody in the county can go to any of the open early voting locations, each location would have to have 231 types of ballots available for the voters. So you can imagine that with 231 types of ballots to choose from, an election worker could easily make a mistake and give a voter the wrong one. And you don't want that to happen because voter confidence goes out the window right there. Even on election day, where you're assigned to go to a specific precinct, in one precinct, they still have many types of ballots. So for example, Univetter precinct had 29 ballot types that were needed for voters. And this is what that ballot looks like. It's a ballot where you have all the races and all the candidates on there, and you fill out the oval for whoever it is that you want to vote for. They listened to presenters from out of state who talked about how elections are done around the country. And this graphics, it's a summary of that presentation and also their recommendations. So if you look at everything that's green, all the shades of green, and that is where they use hand-marked paper ballots as their main way to vote. So that is 69% of the country use hand-marked paper ballots. And unanimously, everybody from out of state recommended hand-marked paper ballots as the way to go for voting. And of course, they listened to the Secretary of State's office, and that was Blake Evans, who they heard from. He is the elections director from the Secretary of State's office, and he is saying that the system that we have is perfect. And because of funding reasons and not having a lot of time, it wouldn't be a great idea to make any changes, any major changes for the November 2026 election. And he's saying two reasons why they shouldn't make any big changes right now. And one is that the November election is too important. They have every statewide office on the ballot in that election, and two, the Election Assistance Commission is about to come up with new guidelines in response to President Trump's executive order. So he's telling the legislators to wait until then and to keep any major changes to an odd year, because in odd years, the elections don't have as great of a demand. And he's saying that we want to keep the system that we have because it's fast. We get results on election night. And what he's proposing is to do a recount of the ballot images after with this character recognition software. Of course, there's a problem with that. And we heard exactly why from the next speaker, who was Philip Stark. And Philip Stark is a board member of the Election Assistance Commission, and he's also really familiar with voting in Georgia because he's an expert witness in a federal case. And he really let them have it. He told the legislators that there's a lot of problems with the way that elections are done in Georgia. So he told them how the voting machines are not secure because they're kept overnight in places, especially during early voting, where a lot of people have access. So there's plenty of opportunity for the system to be tampered with. Two, he talked about the BMDs, and those are the giant iPad-looking things that we vote on when we vote in person. They're vulnerable to hacking. That can be easily hacked in very little time. He demonstrated it in court just using a ballpoint pen. So he's saying that any voter would have plenty of time to tamper with the voting machine and not raise any suspicion. And of course, election workers would have even more time. He's let them know that the testing that they do before an election is not adequate at all because it doesn't check for bugs, malware, or hacking. And he's saying also that even after election, the audits that are done are not reliable. So they're done completely wrong. And the Secretary of State's office is saying that it's completely ignoring any time that there's any discrepancy, saying that it's human error. And any audits, so that character recognition recount that the Secretary of State saying of the ballot images would not be a good way to go, because ballot images are easy to modify, and they can be added, deleted, and you can't tell if a batch was skipped or scanned twice. So on a ballot images, when you have those ballots with the QR code, if you and your neighbor voted with the same selections, your ballots would look identical and there's no way to tell them apart. So he gave an example from the 2020 election, and showing that the election night results and the two audits that they did, the results didn't match. And this is an example that he gave from a precinct in Fulton County, where you can see in all the categories of votes, there's different numbers. So if for those that don't remember, in 2020, we had the election night results. Then there was a full hand count that was done of the presidential race, and they also scanned all the ballots. They did a rescan of all the ballots for the presidential race, and they didn't match. So he's given the study committee all this information on the problems with the current system, so that we don't make a mistake, hopefully, of keeping the same thing. And that now the study committee has all this information on what they need to think about for selecting a new voting system. And first of all, that they need to fix this emergency that we have in 2026. Gabriel is saying we need some clear direction from you on how to resolve this emergency. Please don't leave us hanging with emergency procedures. So we'll see what they decide when they get to work in January. And that is the end of this segment. Let's move on to Remembering Charlie.
So what we have left here are the a little bit of coverage from this past week from the Charlie Kirk Memorial and the vigils. Wanted to give some time for that. That was covered in the VoterGA call as well. The people in VoterGA very mournful, like the rest of us who are fighting for change about Charlie's passing and the awful actions that happened on that campus out in Utah. The assassination is what it was. So did you want to pull up some of these and commentate on what we're watching here? I'll go ahead and add my, you're going to see, I got to remove that, and then I'll add this. And so there's no audio with this, but did you want to talk about this? Here's a 360 shot of his memorial that just happened, yesterday?
Right. So on the call, we talked about all the vigils that were held in neighborhoods across the country. And there was even one in Cherokee, in Woodstock. So the nation is in mourning, and citizens and businesses are expressing their thoughts towards Charlie. And there is a view of the memorial in in Arizona at the State Farm Stadium, where inside and outside the place was completely packed, and they made a count that there were 300,000 people outside.
It's a lot of people. That's just one part of the country. That's just one city, So, yeah, it's too bad we don't have anything from the Woodstock vigil.
I did have a picture of it.
You do?
Yes, in my slides.
Is that something we can pull up?
Yes.
Is it at the end of your slides? Remembering Charlie. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have a Remembering Charlie segment in my slides. And again, just vigils all across the country. This is a picture of the one in Woodstock. I guess the person thought that it would be a good idea to shoot at the sun. Unfortunately, it makes the picture look a little bit washed out. But that was the gathering in Woodstock.
Cool.
And we also, there are businesses also expressing their condolences. And here is Steak and Shake in Rome with a billboard that they put out in Charlie's memory. And I think that, yeah, sorry, Barkinder.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that the largest statement, I think, goes to the response to Turning Point USA that, and this was a post from Thursday. I don't know if they've updated yet. As of yesterday, they hadn't. Perhaps today they have. But on Thursday, they posted that they've received over 62,000 requests from high school and college students to start a chapter or get involved. So it's a huge, fantastic response to keep Charlie's legacy going.
Yeah, did you want to hear from Erica?
Yeah, so I will skip. This was the invitation to the memorial at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. And so we saw the crowds. It was really impressive, and something really impressive too was Erica's statement And let's hear it. Viking dude.
That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do.
Okay, well that was Erica forgiving the alleged shooter, I guess, that they have in custody. And yeah, that's only something you would be able to hear from someone with a heart of I guess,
An
a biblical
incredible
heart.
heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
really says a lot about a person, how they react to a death as wrongful as that. And that's Erica showing incredible grace.
what's next?
Well, that's the end of the segment on the highlights, on the segment and on the highlights of the VoterGA call. And I thought now, and that we could talk a little bit about the issue of censorship and ask a question here. And is free speech in danger in light of some of what we've seen since Charlie Kirk's assassination? Because while a lot of us are in mourning and saddened by Charlie's death, untimely death, there's people celebrating that he was killed. And some of the people celebrating have faced consequences so far. There's been teachers, firefighters, nurses, pilots on social media making just unbelievable to me statements that that they're glad that Charlie has been silenced, even though no, he has not been silenced, but he's no longer with us. And some of those people have been fired from their job. There's students that have been suspended for celebrating. And so we're seeing now from the left crying for free speech in response to those firings. And I guess I wanted to reflect on that a bit, because while people have the right to say whatever they want, as horrible as it may sound, when it's someone getting fired from their job, especially for professions like teachers, firefighters, nurses, there's a code of conduct that's expected. A teacher's supposed to, be fair and a role model for all students, regardless of their religion, political association. Firefighters are supposed to be there to rescue anybody, regardless of who they are, from danger, as are nurses. So that they would be glad that someone died. It's really troubling for someone in that kind of position, and there's a sort of moral conduct that's expected by an employee of their in their position. But then we also saw that Jimmy Kimmel was fired, and I wanted to play a video to sort of remind us of Jimmy Kimmel, where he during COVID, he stated that the unvaxxed deserve to die, and I thought that this can playing this to give everybody a reminder and bring it into context. Do you have that ready, Viking dude?
Yeah, let me remove your slides from the stage and put in this, and here we go.
Hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy. Hospitals get.
So there's Jimmy Kimmel allowed to be hateful in the past, but this last week, he was actually facing some consequences for things that he said in his show. And let's play the video, Viking dude, so that everyone can hear what it was that he said. And this is in respect to Charlie Kirk's
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
And there's pictures of President Trump and Melania that, you know, after Charlie's assassination, that, you know, they look like they didn't sleep for days. They definitely look like it weighed on them. And so Jimmy Kimmel, he's facing real consequences for saying that. He was fired by ABC. And the FCC is also considering taking action. So we have the issue here of people on the left and calling censorship. And so with the FCC, though, we have to remember that the FCC is public, and they're supposed to serve in the public interest rather than just profit or partisan interest. So the FCC chairman is saying that this is really a case of news distortion that violated broadcast regulation or public airways. And you know, like in the clip before, Jimmy Kimmel was allowed to express his public opinion, but he's not really allowed to spread false information that misleads the public on public airways, and that's the issue here. And you know a little bit about public broadcast, don't you, Viking dude?
Yeah. I mean, I went to school for broadcasting. It's been my career. I've seen it move from a time when I was in college where there were actually, you know, policies in place to present both sides of an issue. Like it was called the fairness doctrine. It was a test question, and we had to even write papers about it. But that was removed under President Bill Clinton. That went away. The Smith-Mundt Act was also removed, I think, under President Obama. But they've just eroded away and chipped away at the fairness on the public airwaves. So, you know, these networks have a broadcasting license, but they don't have any. There's no more constraints. They can propagandize us. They can censor ideas. They can censor political sides to issues or arguments, and basically, I don't know. I guess whoever's willing to pay them, if it's the drug lobby, if it's the pharmaceutical lobby that's buying up all the ads, I guess the pharmaceutical lobby gets all the good propaganda, you know.
Yeah.
And so I've seen it happen over the years. I mean, I wasn't totally awake to it as it was happening, but now that it's this what they call the fourth institution, being a free and fair media or press, has really become the thing that is more powerful than anything now. I mean, I think it's probably more powerful than all of our branches of government combined. Sure seems like it's a very unshakable giant that we need to deal with. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the press is and the media is what a lot of people rely on for information. So if you mislead the masses, you have you can control how they vote and really the way that the nation thinks. In this case, though, it looks like we're under a new administration that is looking to reinstate those standards. So the FCC chairman here is acting to bring back that fairness that you talked about, be allowing both sides to present an issue and not allowing misinformation to not allowing an opinion to be presented as news, so as not to spread false misinformation. And talking about the Smith-Mundt Act, that seems to be coming back too. That there was a citizen, Ellie Mae, that after Charlie Kirk was killed, she put an appeal in social media and started a petition asking for the Smith-Mundt Act to be reinstated and renamed Charlie Kirk Act. And the senator from Utah, Mike Lee, said that he would be doing just that. So there does seem to be an effort now by the government to bring back that attempt to keep the media more honest. So we'll see. At least more honest when in terms of any propaganda and not spreading false information to mislead the public.
Yeah, well, it's a slippery slope the other direction too. It's all very delicate because you get these laws in place, and depending on who's in power, they get to say, "Wait a minute, you're spreading lies. We're going to shut you down based on the Smith-Mundt Act when they're not spreading lies." It's like, who determines what's true and what's not? That's the conundrum that we have. That is the conundrum. The standard. I kind of don't agree with bringing back the Smith-Mundt Act. I just agree that that censorship at all, I feel like, which we have right now, big time. I mean, I've been a victim of it. I still am censored. I still am suspended on what was once Twitter, now X. My personal account is still suspended. They haven't done anything to fix that. Just the other night, I had I had a lot of videos that I shared from trips I'd taken to Israel that were not political at all. They were about how awesome it is to go to the Holy Land, to the land of the Bible. If you're a fan of the Bible and the stories of the Bible, and go see these places, these towns that are mentioned in the Bible, where they have the archaeological dig sites there, and you can see what you're reading about in the Bible, so that it's not just some kind of a tale. It's a real place where things really happened, and the distances and the geography, and it all makes sense. I mean, these are the types of things I was sharing in my videos, but I guess because it was labeled as Israel, and I had good things to say about Israel, maybe the YouTube folks felt that it was too controversial. But it's all been all was erased overnight. That just happened 2 nights ago. 5 trips over there and many videos that are there to help people even figure out how to travel to Israel and how you can think places to go. It was more of a travel video site than anything political or religious, but it's gone. So
Yeah, because all that I remember, I don't know if I watched all your videos, but in the ones that I saw, that you really just presented Israel as a fun place to go to, and the life of Israel, your ski trip there, and everyone having fun on the slopes. So yeah, it
yeah,
baffles me that it was taken down. I can't quite make sense of
right.
it.
I can't either. Um, the documentary Qumran to Petra, it's gone. I had made it free and available for all to watch, and it was getting a lot of views. And it had an archaeologist. He's kind of a controversial guy, but his controversy is he doesn't believe that the Earth is old, is more any older than what the Bible says. So he believes it's in a young Earth. That is a controversial topic inside of the world of archaeology and science, I guess. Um, his views are there. I tend to agree with. I've seen archaeological evidence suggesting differently than what the I guess contemporary science has taught us growing up in the archaeology having to do with the dinosaurs and in the span of time. I'm one who does believe that dinosaurs and man existed on the earth at the same time, but that's such a far out there thing. I don't see why that would be something that needed to be removed.
Well, that
You know,
wasn't even covered in your video. Your video was
yeah, it
about
was. It was
it
at the
was?
beginning. It was. Oh yeah, it was
Okay.
when I introduced Aaron Judkins, the
Oh,
archaeologist,
in
the
the
Maverick archaeologist.
in the introduction
So
of who he was, but the content of the video were the archaeological sites that that you visited.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, there were hints and suggestions of things throughout the video.
okay.
We didn't try to slam it into people's faces, but if you ever go to Petra and you see the gigantic, massive structures that are built there, um, doorways that are 20 times larger than any doorway that we have in our lives. It's like, why are all these doors so giant? I mean, just massive. So, there, that term giant. I mean, so
Yeah.
the cover up of did giants exist? Do they still exist? I mean, these are fringe topics that should not be. I mean, I thought YouTube wanted that kind of stuff to point at us and go, look at the crazies out there. But, all that was taken down. So,
Yeah, and all that is just an expression and an
yeah.
investigation that you guys are doing or digressing a little bit, and I kind of want to do a whole show about that.
hmm
Viking did,
Well, we're
but
we're into
we're
about an hour and 10 minutes here on this podcast, dude. Should we start
okay.
motoring through some of this stuff?
Well, let me just
Uh,
there was a little bit that I wanted a little bit more that I wanted to cover. So let me
okay.
just
Is
get
this
to it.
in your slides?
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so we had uh Pam Bondi introducing this concept of hate speech, which was actually pretty troubling for me to hear this video. And Viking Dude, do you have that queued up to play? It's a short one.
Okay.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech.
And that was really troubling. So there's speech that I don't like. After the assassination, we put out a text actually inviting people to the vigil in Woodstock, and I received a horrible message that I had to stop. and just kind of, I'm not reacting to it, not gonna feed the trolls. There's a video of that beautiful crowd in Arizona where why am I getting upset? Tanya, don't get upset. That people were being told, pregnant women were being told, the pregnant women in line to attend the memorial and stand there in that crowd outside of the stadium. They were told, "We hope your baby dies." And so that is a horrendous thing to say. But the thing is that, as hateful as it might be, as people are entitled to express, not entitled, they're given, free speech means free speech. There isn't really, who is to determine hate speech if you're going to start that concept. And Pam Bondi, she tried to explain herself in a X post after that video was taken, where she's defining hate speech as speech that crosses the line into threats of violence, and that is not protected by the First Amendment. She goes on to say, for far too long we've watched the radical left normalize threats, calls for assassination, and cheer on political violence, and that era is over. And she got a little correction there from X, that the U.S. Constitution protects even violent speech. So there is even violent speech is free speech, and that means that you can tell somebody horrible things. What is not protected is when it's actually inciting violence. So telling a crowd to damage property, to hurt someone, in that case, if you're inciting an already angry mob into taking violent action, that would not be protected speech. But in other cases, and things that have been allowed to be said, even on the news, free speech and even what hateful speech is, unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately because it's hurtful right now, but it is protected speech. And I know that you are a big advocate of free speech, Viking dude. And sometimes we gotta stick to it even when it's hard to hear.
Yeah, well, these posts by Pam Bondi, and then the response from I guess that's what do they call that on X? They call that the notes, reader notes or whatever that are added to. I'm glad somebody spoke up. I can't believe that we're hearing that kind of talk out of the mouth of a Trump-appointed attorney general. Goes completely against what I, in my idea, what Make America Great Again is about. I think Charlie Kirk was definitely engaged in the open exchange of ideas and debate and trying to keep it in civilized decorum and format. Charlie himself is the one is quoted as saying that hate speech is protected speech, that there is no such thing as really, he even said there's no such thing as hate speech,
Yeah.
It's just speech that I don't like and speech that you don't like, therefore we're calling the other person's speech hate speech because we don't like it. That was Charlie's idea. And I'm really impressed by Charlie. The more that I've looked into his life or seen clips of his life, I wasn't a huge Turning Point Action person paying attention to what they were up to. I attended a couple of events through VoterGA and covering Garland Favorito, attending those events. But Charlie certainly, I've learned that he was a pretty stand-up guy. And, we had this one video from Van Jones. I don't know if that's where you're headed. But okay, so we will unshare and we will put in Van Jones, who I don't like a lot of what comes out of Van Jones' mouth. But Van Jones seems to, he seems to demonstrate some level-headedness every now and then and again, and this is one of those times. So here we go. Let me add it to the stage.
Yeah, and let's give it some context. So Charlie and Van Jones had been engaged in a heated exchange over the murder of the Ukrainian woman, and that's what led to this video.
Charlie Kirk and I were not friends at all. In fact, the last week of his life, we were beefing hard, beefing online, beefing on air. But the day before he died, he did something that shocked me. He sent me a personal message, calling for personal dialogue, wanted me to come on his show. He said we could be gentlemen together. He said we could deal with our disagreements agreeably. And in the past week and a half, just watching people talk about civil wars and censorship and all this stuff coming out of his death, I just thought it was important to let people know, don't put that on Charlie Kirk, because the last day of his life, he was reaching out to have not more censorship, more conversation, more dialogue with somebody who honestly was one of his adversaries, me. And I just want to share that with the world. And I hope that maybe it might help somebody on both sides deal with issues more like he did.
Amen.
All right, Van.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job. Good job coming out and sharing the personal interchange with Charlie in the last week of his life. I mean, that was a big of him to do that. So kudos to Van Jones for that. Can't believe I actually said that, but I will. So, yeah.
Yeah. So is free speech in danger with Pam Bondi's reaction? That makes me really worry that she would activate the DOJ on what she's calling hate speech when it might not be. When, again, unless it is directly inciting violence, it's just speech that we don't like. And I think, we really do need to keep the conversation going. I wish that society was more respectful, more recognizing the way that Van Jones just did that. Even though he did not agree with Charlie, they were not, and he goes on to say, yeah, that they were not friends. But he does recognize that Charlie, he's a decent guy. He did everything right in wanting to keep that conversation going between the left and the right, between opposite sides, because we're not human, and when we do that, we forget. It makes it too easy to stay at each other's throats when that conversation isn't happening.
Okay, well,
and that's
long show here, dude. Hour and 20 minutes in, so let's just take this opportunity. That's commercial free, by the way. An hour and 20 minutes with no commercials. We need to start getting some commercial breaks in. We need to find some people who would like to sponsor this show. We're a little bit new to this game. We're getting better. We're getting more organized, trying to make this more of a quality high-end podcast. We're getting our ducks lined up in pre-production, trying to be better about that. There's been some technical challenges, as there always are. So we're just going to take this opportunity to close out the show here and show you guys some of our social media that we have set up. You can reach out to us and you can DM us at Peaches2Bananas. I believe we're set up for DMing there. But that is please go give us a follow on X. It's at Peaches2Bananas. There's beautiful Tania there next to the beautiful logo that she helped design. And we are anxious to pursue this show and bring you the highlights of the VoterGA election integrity call every Saturday, and mix in a little bit of our opinions, I guess. You can also find us over at on Rumble. So that would be rumble.com/Magastruck. So we're using the Magastruck channel for our streaming and where we're going to park these shows over on Rumble as well. We have a YouTube channel. There's Magastruck on YouTube. So Magastruck is kind of like the overarching brand, and underneath that we have Peaches to Bananas. We have a lot of different kind of things going on underneath the Magastruck brand. But we're using Magastruck as the place to accommodate our content on Rumble and on YouTube. Please go and give us a follow on YouTube as well. So X, Rumble, and YouTube. And lastly, and most importantly, here is the recently, well, we haven't even published the campaign yet. We finalized this last night, and we didn't even publish it. But we will publish it as soon as we're done with this show. But this is GiveSendGo.com/Tania needs our help. And I'll just read what this says. It says, meet Tania Sosa, a fierce advocate for fair elections we can trust. Meet Viking Dude, a jovial, fun-loving hippie at heart who says he wants nothing short of full frontal transparency in our elections. Yes, that's my line. Their podcast, Peaches and Bananas, is intended to share important election reform news from around the country and with extra focus on Georgia. Much of the content for the podcast is aggregated from their weekly participation in the work of nonprofit election integrity activist group VoterGA. Tania's work is largely a volunteer effort. She spends her life giving of herself to advance the cause of free and fair elections. She humbly asks for your financial support for her life's expenses. I know Tania very well. I know what kind of challenges she has. Tania has special needs due to a unique muscular disability, and so too does her faithful best buddy, a German Shepherd named Shadow, has special needs. So we're in a place where we're hoping to be able to also raise some funds to help support Tania and Shadow as they do what they do, which is bring. Oops. Let me add that back. Go to the right screen here. I'm trying to do it all as they bring important, valuable information as they Shadow will bark every now and then. So yes, Shadow too. As we bring important information to you that we feel like needs to be disseminated to the public. So with that said, is there anything else, dude?
Thank you, Viking Dude. No, that's all. And I just wanted to thank you also for making up a song for the show and working on the logo and work out all the technical points that we needed to get the show going so that we could play video and audio and have this conversation together and with everyone watching.
Okay, no problem, dude. My pleasure. Hey, once again, the Give, Send, Go is GiveSendGo.com. Tania needs our help. Or GiveSendGo.com/Tania needs our help. Please go there, check it out, consider helping us out. All right, ready? Ready to close it out?
Ready.
I'm moving to the country, gonna pick out all the peaches. County's full of peaches, the people wanna be free. I'm moving to the country, gonna pick out all the peaches. Gonna vote on paper ballots, paper from a tree. I took a trip to Cherokee, they had a head count I could see, and I knew it was for me. I cast my ballot fair and free. Yeah. I'm moving to the country, gonna vote for all the peaches. Gonna pass on those bananas, those swampy politicians. Yeah, moving to the country, gonna vote for all the peaches, not falling for bananas or the tailpipe trickery. I went up to Forsyth County, they had a head count I could see, and I knew it was for me. No bananas in their tree. I travel all over the state. Georgia people are irate. They want a vote that they can trust to cast the ballots fair and free. Yeah. Well, I'm moving to the country, gonna call on all you peaches, gonna pass on those bananas, they're hiding in the peach tree. Moving to the country, gonna call on all the peaches, gonna save our free republic. Paper ballots is the key. Yeah, paper ballots is the key.
Is it ending on itself?
It's not.
Well, I don't want it to play the outro again.